All right, thanks for tuning in today on this episode of Passport Joy Travel Talk. This is Matt Javit. Today we're going to be talking about flying private jets. One of my buddies recently took a trip from Phoenix to Vegas in a private jet, had an amazing experience, and we're going to dive into that, see what that sounds like, and what kind of an experience that might be for you. There are beginning to be a lot more of these options out there. It's some of it's called empty leg charter flights. The idea that the charter flight's going to one location to pick up a high roller, but there's a leg there that's not filled. So they're finding creative ways to fill those legs to make some money in order to pay for the fuel and whatnot. So we're gonna get into that a little bit with this with the company that he used out of Phoenix. You're gonna hear about his whole experience. It'll just give you a light into that, what that might be in the future, because I think these things are definitely going to start popping up more and more. We're starting to see the helicopters in LA and in New York, kind of the Uber copter type thing, and different creative ways of travel. So this might be something that you might be able to take advantage of in the near future, because when you hear the cost, you're going to be shocked as well. So stay tuned for that. As always, if you want to find ways to travel on the cheap or figure out a way to do what we did, Nikki and I did, as we traveled the world for 27 straight months, single backpack apiece, 35 countries, go to passportjoy.com. Go under the partners tab there. That's a great way to figure out all the companies that we used, or some of the companies we used to make this happen. Companies like Trusted House Sitters, Workaway, places to help us keep our costs down as we travel the world. And that's a great way to figure out how we did that. And also at passportjoy.com, you'll find a lot of different ways, the creative ways that we did what we did, and also the countries and the locations that we loved along the journey. So be sure to check that out if you're looking to have a great weekend getaway, maybe a 2-week vacation in 2020. You're looking at some ideas, or you're trying to travel the world for 6 months or 12 months or 27 months like we did. All right, I'm going to jump right into this, and so you can hear Eddie tell his story of traveling on a private jet from Phoenix to Las Vegas. I was talking to my buddy Eddie. I saw one of his posts. Me and Eddie have been friends for a long time. He's a great traveler. He lives in Phoenix, Arizona, and he took a trip to Las Vegas, and not like a traditional flight from Southwest, but he took a private jet. So it really sparked my interest. He got a lot of great feedback on his social post. So in my short conversation with Eddie, I just said, hey man, can I circle back with you and talk about this? Because I'm sure a lot of people have questions about this type of travel that's very likely to become more and more popular in the near future. So, hey Eddie, what is up, buddy?
Hey man, how's it going?
Wonderful. Awesome. So me and Eddie, we've had a chance to travel before together on some guys trips, and so we've got that type of background, and we're friends, but I want to just get his insight on this, because it's definitely for a different type of traveler, but when you hear some of the advantages of it, I think you'll understand that it might become mainstream rather quickly as these small charter jets, more of them hit the market, and these are more kind of an opportunity for everybody to use it. So I guess just at a high level, you were going to Vegas. I guess, can you just kind of walk us through the decision to actually do this? And obviously cost was a part of it, but just kind of walk us through that decision-making process.
Yeah, definitely. So my wife and I, we do a trip to Vegas every year with a big group, and the group is pretty distributed through the West, mostly in California, a couple of couples from Phoenix, Arizona, and then a couple couples from Seattle. So as we started to plan this trip, we, of course, started with the hotel lockdown, and then coincidentally, as we were thinking about the flights, we saw a news program, an update about a new private jet service coming to the Phoenix market. That, of course, piqued my interest, because the tagline was something to the impact of "Fly private for cheaper than commercial." That's all up my alley, so we decided to kind of record the news and watch it at a different time, and essentially the company was just marketing themselves as coming to the market, but not here yet. And they did a release date, I think, in July, but this news program was around kind of May, June timeframe. So we did a little bit of investigation, because it was already open in some other markets. So we started to kind of watch social media posts and just internet traffic on comments, pain points, those kind of things. And it really became a point where it sounded too good to be true. So they finally opened up the market in Phoenix. My wife and I kind of looked at each other and said, do we take the chance or do we not take the chance? Because who knows how long this can last, or, natural questions pop out like, what happens if we're the only two people to charter a flight for that particular time frame? So we went ahead and did it. We booked our seats. We were the first two people to book on the flight that we took to Vegas. We sent a couple questions to the company around what happens if you don't sell out the flight. And their answer was, we fly regardless if it's one person or full flight. I, being a business guy, kind of naturally said, how in the world do they make money? And I still haven't figured that out, but nonetheless, it's their business model. So we booked it, decided to do it, and then waited for our trip, which was just about 3 to 4 weeks ago.
Sweet. And then you didn't have to have a membership. Is that right?
No membership. So it's really, look at it like a ride share in the sky, right? So essentially, it seems to me what they've done is they've purchased some regional jets from some airlines. They've wrapped them in the Jet Suite X wrapping, customized the inside a little bit more than just a kind of a dry commercial jet. And then they have a stewardess on the flight, stewardess on the flight as well, or flight attendant. And their stick is, fly private or semi-private and get free cocktails and snacks and enjoy your flight. So as we started to get closer to the flight, they send you some information. So one drawback is, let me back up. They fly out of Phoenix Sky Harbor International Airport, but not out of the commercial terminals. So you're at the international airport, but you don't have to deal with all the traffic and the hustle and bustle in the terminals. So they fly out of a private hangar, like I think Swift or Qatar is the actual hangar. So it's off the beaten path a little bit at the airport, so you don't have to deal with a bunch of the airport traffic. But one drawback that they initially have that I saw was they don't offer parking at the terminal. So we Ubered.
Okay.
And it seemed coincidentally at the Vegas airport the same. It looked like they didn't really offer parking for everyone. They seem to have some valet, but I'm not sure what that costs. And it wasn't well marketed. But we Ubered. So, we started to get some information closer to the flight. So they follow TSA baggage rules, but you do not have to go through a security check. They do your kind of TSA background check and stuff like that behind the scenes. But you only have to be there 20 minutes before your flight. And I thought that was bananas, right? Because, I pressed my luck traveling anyway, that I've traveled enough that I'm rarely there. I'm there 40 minutes to an hour before my flight. But hearing 20 minutes was music to my ears. So we get to the location, we walk in, we walk up to a desk. We're literally there, I think, 25 minutes before flight time. We check in. They have snacks, donuts, coffees, juices in their hangar and their terminal. Grab a couple beverages to drink and sit down. And about 5 minutes later, they're calling us to board. So we walk out. We walk through the actual hangar, down out into a tarmac, board the plane. Our flight, I think, set around, we'll call it 30 to 45 people, and I think there were about 15 to 16 people on the flight. So
okay. Wow.
You do select a seat.
Okay. You selected prior to? Selected? Okay.
You select prior to, much like you would on a commercial flight.
Okay.
And then they come through and they hand you some snacks and give you the rundown as any commercial jet would. Close the door and you're on your way. And once you're in flight, they bring cocktails or beverages around where you just select from. And honestly, they had a pretty extensive selection beyond what I thought they would have.
Sweet. And then is it two on one side, one on the other, that type of seating?
It's exactly that.
Cool.
So the kicker that I saw in it all, the thing that really solidified it for us was the price was cheaper than Southwest or American. I believe when we were looking, Southwest was around $200, American was around $200, but this was around $160 to $180 round trip without all the hassle.
Yeah.
And that just solidified it for us. And then leading up to the flight, a week before our actual flight, we got an email for if other friends wanted to join. They did kind of a fire sale that they could have got on our same round trip flight for $90 round trip. So
wow, and that's part of an email chain. Like, so you're part of like their email chain now, so you get updates.
Yes. Yep. And I follow them on social media, so I'm following on Facebook, Instagram, stuff like that as well.
Okay.
So to further the conversation a little bit, to think that the story couldn't get any better, we land in Vegas around 10:55. I'm in an Uber by 11:11. I'm at the MGM by 11:18, and I'm in my room by 11:28.
That is unbelievable.
So within, 33 minutes, I'm landed and in my room. I wouldn't have even been out of Las Vegas International Airport by that point. And I don't check baggage when I fly, generally.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't even have to deal with baggage claim. So.
Yeah, that is unbelievable. And then coming home was pretty much the same experience?
Exact same experience. Actually, there's probably less people on our flight home, but the exact same experience. A different flight attendant, but you can tell they're trained well. They're very personable. They actually try to make the flight fun and joke around with you a little bit, but same experience. So we have a longer drive home in Phoenix, but we're landed in our Uber within like 12 minutes and then on our way home. So just an incredible experience, really.
Yeah, that is amazing. And then have you seen any of these other ones like NetJets or Wheels Up or these other, they're all kind of in the same niche. Have you seen any of those in Phoenix?
I have. I've actually looked into it, and I have a friend that I play golf with on occasion that used to work for NetJets, so he was a pilot for them. And the big difference there is you can buy a subscription, which is several $1,000s a year, or you can get a big group to chart it. There's no per seat kind of cost for that. So you're not going to get that for $160. You could get that for, hey, we'll fly to Vegas for $5,000. So it's a base price. If you can get 10 people to go in, get 10 people to go in. If not, it's $5,000, right? So at that point, you're splitting it across your friend base rather than this. I'm splitting the cost of it with people that I don't necessarily know.
Yeah.
But it's very economical. And to be very truthful with you, it's just changed my complete outlook on travel. I hope they expand. They're pretty West Coast based at the moment, from what I can tell. From Phoenix, they fly to Vegas, Burbank, California, and Oakland. But out of Vegas, they fly some different locations like Orange County and all the ones that I had mentioned previously. And we're doing another trip in the near future to Napa, and I think we're actually going to use this again and fly to Oakland and just rent a car.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that would be awesome. And then have you seen the flights pop up like to Vegas? Is it once a day or is it 3 times a week?
No, I don't know the exact number, but it's multiple a day.
Oh, really?
I'd call it 3 to 5, maybe even better a day. There's
Wow.
multiple flights per day. I believe they basically just land, drop off, pick up, fly back. Land, drop off, pick up, fly back.
And then when you were there, did you see a bunch of the Jet Suite X? Was there like 4 or 5 planes? Was there just the one plane?
In Phoenix, when we walked out into the tarmac, and we didn't fly out till, it was in the morning, but it wasn't first thing in the morning. So I think there were 3 jets out on the tarmac when we left. But when we landed in Vegas, there were like 5 or 6 jets. So they have a decent fleet. And again, they're flying to different locations out of it. Out of Vegas, you have more options on destination, and I'm guessing out of Orange County and Burbank, you do as well.
Very nice. And then you said the whole ticketing process in the beginning of it, purchasing the ticket, pretty easy, standard ticketing. To put your TSA number in there and all that.
Yeah. My wife took care of that. But,
okay.
She said it was very simple, no problems at all.
Awesome, man. Cool. Well, that's awesome. And again, it was Jet Suite X. Do you know the difference between Jet Suite and Jet Suite X? Is there a big difference?
I don't know the difference. I think it's the same parent company, but the website for Jet Suite X is www.jsx.com.
Okay. Cool. And you have no affiliation. We're not promoting that here. You just had an awesome ride.
No, I'm just a very satisfied, very skeptical customer.
Yeah.
Being, it sounded too good to be true. And after the experience, my wife and I just looked at each other and said, why would we do anything different? As long as they're going to locations that we can fly to. And as long as they are, I'm going to use them. I have a conference coming up that's back in Vegas the first week of December. And if it weren't for corporate restrictions, I'd be flying them again, no doubt.
Oh,
they're not in our corporate travel system, so I can't select them. But if they were, I would be doing it in a heartbeat. Very
cool. Well, cool, man. Well, thanks. Thanks for sharing your insight. I'm sure that this is going to get more and more popular, and I haven't seen it pop up in the Midwest yet, but I think that just based on there's so many cities so close here, it might be one of those things that does pop up in the near future. They're probably maybe they're just proving it out on the West Coast right now because you're starting, especially all this alternative travel. I'm not sure if you've heard about these helicopters as well. These Uber helicopter rides in New York and LA. I think all this stuff is going to become a lot more mainstream. But
I think it's going to expand. I mean, I just looked into it a couple of nights ago. A buddy of mine want to play golf. We're big golfers here in Arizona, but Arizona's going through. They transition the greens and the fairways twice a year, and they're going through the second phase of it now, and it really makes the conditions not great. I actually looked into flying to Vegas just for the day, this Saturday, to go play around the golf and come back, because if I could get the flight for $90 round trip, I'd have no heartburn doing it. They haven't provided that sale yet, but my point is I'm actually looking at alternative golf methods just for day trips at this point because of the convenience that's provided. Right?
Yeah, that would be sick, especially if you can get those freebie hotel stays if you're gambling enough and you snag a freebie hotel, get to Vegas for 90, and get to Vegas for 90. Uber's cheap, golf cheap. Maybe win it back on the blackjack table. That'd be sick.
Yep.
Cool.
We even just talked about flying morning, playing golf, flying back in the evening.
Oh wow! Yeah.
It's that convenient. I mean, and I looked conversely at Vegas and Orange. I was hoping Orange County out of Phoenix, but they fly to Burbank, which still isn't that bad. But we decided not to do it. But,
God, that's so cool that the baller lifestyle's coming to the normal dude. It's really cool.
When you consider the commercial prices, and then I don't view, I don't want to sound bougie or anything, but I don't view $200 for a round trip flight being too bad.
Mm-hmm.
But when you're paying $150 to $180, whatever the final price was, and none of the hassle, none of the headache, it just changes the complete mentality of it all.
Yeah, you go door to door in 2.5 hours. Would you say door to door from where you are? That is nuts, dude. That is crazy.
Yeah, I'm a 25 to 30 minute drive to the airport tops.
Yeah.
So yeah, easily. It was an hour. It was just less than an hour flight. So.
Because I'm just thinking, we go to Chicago all the time to visit Nikki's family, and if there was an option like that from Indy to Chicago, because that's very comparable. I know O'Hare and Midway probably would have some issues, but man, that would be nuts if we could get in and out of an airplane that fast and to their front door. That'd make life a lot easier. Yeah.
100%. The convenience factor of this was just off the charts.
Man, that's awesome. Well, cool, brother. Thank you so much for sharing. I look forward to seeing you in about 5 weeks in Phoenix, and looking forward to catching up, brother.
Yeah, man. I appreciate you having me.
All right, man. Talk soon.
Peace.
All right, thanks so much for tuning into that episode. Hopefully you enjoyed that. Hopefully you got something out of that. I think that form of travel is going to become more and more localized, even in the Midwest. Hopefully we start to see some options like that. There's a great article I posted on the show notes. Check out the show notes. Whatever app you use, it's going to be right in there, or on the website, passportjoy.com. In the show notes, there's a great article that compares 7 of these different companies that go after these types of charter open charter legs out there, and give you a chance to look at that if that's something you really want to tap into, especially if you're on the coast, on the east or west coast. The options are more open for you in those areas. As always, go to passportjoy.com to check out all the things we're sharing, how we traveled the world for 27 straight months, all the ideas that we got along the way, the great destinations. Go there. World Barbershop Adventures continues to expand, depending upon when you hear this. Season 2 is about to hit on Amazon, and or you can check out the YouTube page. Police book, Police Brotherhood in Uniform Around the World at policearoundtheworld.com is available as you go into the holidays. It's a unique book. I'm selling a ton of those books, and it's been well received by the law enforcement community. I'm very appreciative of them. And Nikki's book, her memoirs, Passport Joy, Reflections on Life, Love, and Other Stuff While Traveling the World, is on Amazon. So that's it. Looking forward to talking to you again soon with some new creative ideas on how to travel. Until then, have a blast wherever you might be heading next.